chat with each of them here. The way the panel is going to work is we're going to do a nice little intro with every single one on here. It'll be about 2 minutes. And then we'll dive into some questions. And at the end, we'll open it up to you guys if you want to ask anyone specifically, or we can just kind of make it a, Popmart style. But without further ado, we'll get started here. I'm Jameson. I appreciate you all holding space here and joining for this session. Sound frequency, energy, and vibration is the topic today. So I can pass it to Bo. We'll pick it up.
All right. Welcome, everyone. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for having me. My name is Mo. I'm from Jordan. I moved to the States about 5 years ago. And my journey started with meditation about 11 years ago. I was having a very stressful job and I couldn't sleep. So my brother was like, have you tried meditation? I was like, no, let me try it. So I went on YouTube, meditation, and I slept the best sleep ever. And ever since, I started doing meditation every night just to help me sleep. And then a year after that, a friend of mine went to Rishikesh in India and did his yoga teacher's training. And when he came back, I was his first student. We were doing privates. It literally changed my life. I felt that I've never felt that connected to my body, that grounded. And I started getting more involved in that community. And then when I moved here to the States, I started going to Hatha Yoga Shala across the street and loved that place. Did my teacher's training after about a year there, and now I'm a full-time yoga teacher. I do sound baths, and I love it. It's a great big change for me.
Thank you, Mo, and I appreciate all the sessions that have been attended for. Pata is a very beautiful venue as well, and excited to experience later your session. Thank you.
It's amazing. I've been to it. It's incredible.
If you have any questions, I'll be having my cards in the back for free classes. Let me know.
Hello, everyone. My name is Deontay, and I am kind of like Jameson here. I do a lot of different practices. I started everything I do probably at the age of 3, maybe, I don't know. But my mother got me into a lot of these practices. Through dance, musician, I dabbled with a lot of instruments. At some point, I got into videography and just creating, writing. I can be here all day telling you about things that I don't do. It's the same thing, but at some point, I actually went to middle school and high school with them.
Nice.
So we kind of have the same story.
Right here in Palm Beach County.
Right here, Palm Beach County, yeah, that's where I'm from, and just travel the world doing the same exact thing. I would say for what I do, as far as what I'm doing here with you, would be dance and music, which is that common thread today. For the break dance would be the media term, breaking or be wine or be girling or whatever you feel is necessary as the art, but just to zero down on what we do today. But it's the list goes on. So.
Hi, everyone. I'm Kathleen, and I have a company called Frequency Infused Wellness. We're back in the corner. And we started with a nonprofit called Good Vibrations Music so that we could compose and make music to give away for people that really needed healing. My background's in the healing world. I grew up in water and I was surrounded by music and I danced. And so movement was always my strength to this day. And music was natural, not this type of music, but I was exposed to it young. And so we compose our own music. My husband's back there, he's the composer, and his name's John. And our team, Anna and Heather, are both here too that support us. But we make vibrational products that play our music. So they're musical tables, musical chairs, just like you did as a kid. You played musical chairs, right? This is just a little bit different. This really entrains you. All of our music is composed in 432, the ancient toning system.
Beautiful.
And we have about 172 sound journeys that last anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour and cover just about anything you could deal with. So check us out, come back and try the products. And I'm just so grateful to be here. Thanks, Jameson.
Hi, everyone. I'm Denise. So good to be here. So honored to be in front of all of you and to have met Jameson and be part of this beautiful gathering of the community. I'm a former nurse, turned transformative nurse coach, which transformed my life while I was in a very anxious, stressful time when I gave birth. And it was COVID time. I had a new baby, new life, new everything transitioning. I was on top of the world on paper. Everything seemed so perfect. Like I was on top of the mountain and inside completely crumbling everything. And that's when I found meditation. I learned that by going inward, I can actually remember anything and with pick any memory, anything, any thought, any question that I had for myself from within myself. And at that time, I would stress out so much that I wouldn't really know what to say or what to think. There was a lot of ADHD that I had at the time. And meditation really gave me that light to go within, no matter what was happening. And that just unlocked the journey into transformation. And I started a company, Holistic Evolution Coaching, when I first became a transformative nurse coach. And I was just helping people with their health, with the intention of helping heal mental health and myself and my family, my lineage. And my coaches would laugh at me because I would be like, oh, I'm a generational coach now. And now I'm a inner child coach. And now I'm a family coach. And I'm like, oh my gosh, there's so many things that we need healing with that I needed healing with. And as I would go through all of that, I'm like, I can help other people too. And my journey got so dark so many times that I had to keep reminding myself, like, this is just an observation of what a lot of people go through in a really large scale that we've never really been tapped into. And you're tapping into that energy because I had the ability to use that energy and the darkest of the new moon's energy, which we're in the new moon week. And this is when I started really connecting with the lunar cycle. And of course, everybody knows when the full moon is. We all see it, it's so vibrant. So that was a really nice clue each month that I was going through so much. And then boom, there's a full moon again. Like, oh, we're in another month now. And then transition into really toning into the new moon. And I found out I was born on new moon day. And the new moon, we enter this portal of all the things that we want to experience, all the things that we want to see, create over the next 30 days. And recently I co-created the lunar cycle portal with another incredible human that really sees that vision and sees that portal. And it guides you with themes throughout the month so that you can stay on that energy of your co-creation with your own intentions so that you're not hanging on to an intention forever. You're hanging on to an intention every single day for a month and you're getting to see that come to life every single day, trusting in your divine self and your higher self in that journey at a much like powerful energetic state of trust, love, and faith, which is the highest vibration we can here to achieve and to remind us of above all fears and worries that we experience. Trust, love, and faith is a much higher vibration, a much better timeline to be in. And we should always discern to go for that instead of fear and worries and doubts and shift it. We can shift it. We are all alchemists. I promise you. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Brooke. I believe the body's an instrument. And if we breathe at 4 breaths a minute or less, we start to relax the body, relax the heart rate, relax the brain, and that gives us access to more creative thought. I believe that intuition is something inherent within how our electromagnetic field actually works through the water in our body. And the more aware we are of our breath rate, the shape of that breath, not just counting it, but feeling how you ebb and flow to your fullest and your shallowest. And as you open your toes and you bring awareness back to the tiniest little appendages, these represent the rivers. So when we get into the body and the fascia, all we are these tiny little tubes that are pulsing fluids through it, organized fluids. And these pulsations are your rhythm. And the rhythm in which you breathe dictates how all of these other rhythms transpire. So at any point in your life, you can slow down your present moment. We all talk a lot about presence, but we don't really talk about what it means. I believe that we have a consciousness, a non-local intelligence. So if you close your eyes and you think about the past, you think about your grandma, you can bring your conscious mind away from this room. It's not local. But awareness is the intelligence of the body. It's the temperature in the room. It's the feeling of the clothes on your skin. It's the feeling of how your posture is and where the tongue in your mouth is. And the more you feel what humming does, the center of vibration of your body, the more in tune you are with the center of your being. I believe that huge field that wraps you, you're 40 feet tall and 80 feet wide. And your body is the rhythmic pulsation of all that you are in this moment. And if you want to be present, you have to pull all of that non-local consciousness right back into the awareness of where we are, right here, right now. And I believe that starts with 4 breaths a minute. My name is Brooke. I started a company called Musical Breathwork. The breathwork I teach is very different. It takes about 10 minutes and it doubles your capacity so that you can maintain a reduced breath rate for all of your activities. I also teach a fascia flow, which helps you compress into your tissues. If you hate stretching, try compression. The body wants to be felt like a sponge outside and inside. So may we all be mighty by exercising our maximums and minimums. And remember, you are an instrument and the rarest one in the whole world. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I'm Cara. I am, I've been involved with my husband, who's my partner, and in Rufo ceremonies over 2,000 of them the last 5 years. And we've had a lot of training and transformation for the last 20 years or 21. And did you ever get to the point where nothing is working? The meditation, the intellectual conversations, the training that you've done, and it is not working. And that's where I was about 6 years ago. So I've done a ton of psilocybin retreats. I've been involved with the athletes for the ESPN event that was in Jamaica, so I was involved with that. And even psilocybin was not working for me. And we're talking huge doses of psilocybin. So I found Bufo Toad medicine right after Jamaica with our mentor, whose name is Dr. John. And it finally gave me access to live in a world of duality, where your mind, body, and your soul are connecting to oneness. And it's an honor and privilege to be involved with this. And my husband's superpower, it's right there, Angel, is love. And my superpower is stand. And we promise to be connected and present and deliver a safe space for people before, during, and after ceremonies.
Thank you.
Sure.
Hey, everybody, my name is Nathan. I'm new here to the South Florida area and also to Delray. I moved here in December. My first introduction here at the studio was last month teaching 5 Rhythms dance. And that's where I met Jameson. And I feel like life really began for me about 12 years ago when my whole life blew up. And I had a sudden divorce. I was fired from my job. And my father suddenly passed away. And that was the moment where kind of like somebody said, looking right on paper, like that part of my life ended. And then I started figuring out who I was and how I wanted to live my life. And so that process for me was really just being a kid in the candy store and like going down the rabbit hole and exploring so many different lineages and doing a lot of trainings and certifications and things like that. And what I found is that movement was my jam. And so yoga, qigong, and then five rhythm stance were the modalities that really resonated with me. And then so I kind of became an executive coach after a couple years of healing. And I've just been practicing these modalities for fun. And then maybe 5 years ago, after a nomadic journey, and I left the dance floor and I came back to New York City where I had been dancing for 8 years. It was my first dance back after a year and a half. And that experience, I had an embodied epiphany, and it was just like, this is the best thing in my life. And I need to offer this to people. And I just started that in May of this year. And so I'm really happy being here and welcomed by the Delray and Casa Manolis communities so quickly, and super stoked for class next Saturday. There's a lot more, and that feels good for right now. I'd love to connect with y'all if you'd like to talk more. Thanks.
Hey everybody, I'm Darren Littman, and I've been practicing yoga for about 30 years now. I was introduced to yoga when I came down to go to school at FAU to get a degree in theater. But they didn't teach us yoga as a way of exercise. The asanas, the poses, are just one branch of yoga. There's another branch called pratyahara. It's a beautiful word that we don't have in English, but it means the withdrawal of the senses, where you tune out the chaos going on around you and tune into that quiet stillness inside of you. And after I got my degree, I eventually auditioned for Palm Beach Opera. I had never heard an opera before, seen an opera, but I wanted to sing on the stage at the Kravis, so I figured I'd give it a try. And I've been with them for 20 years. And I decided to get certified in yoga about 3 years back. I was in Mo's class together. And that's when I was introduced to a sound bath. And it felt like it was bringing together the music and the yoga into that space of pratyahara, that withdrawal of the senses. And after I went to that sound bath, I went and got a few instruments, gathered a few friends, and said, what do you guys think about this? And they also were able to drift off to that place where you sort of forget where you are. And I love just giving that experience to people, that experience that I had. And so I started this business, Sound Bath and Song, about 3 years ago. And yeah, I do privates and group sessions. And it's just been something very fulfilling for me to be able to introduce people to that modality, that branch of yoga that doesn't get touched so much.
Hello, everybody. My name is Moses, and I am back, and I am blacker. I am a clinically certified hypnotherapist, but ideally I teach people how to be responsible for the love of God and the Word of God. Being mindful of how you interact with the experience of your soul is what we are ideally here to practice and to implement as human beings. So I teach people how to do that and how to let go of codependency, how to let go of any reason or justification to experience pain or discomfort or jealousy or anger or any other thing or any other energy or element that can distract you from love.
Thank you so much, Moses. Thank you all. That was a great introduction, and I'm excited to dive into some questions now and get to learn a little more about what each of you guys do and how it relates to our theme. So Let's get to talking. I want to walk us through how your typical ceremony would go, or a session that you hold with, students or classmates or any sort of clients that you have. And tell me kind of how it would take for like a pre-integration, what would be necessary for you to prepare for experiencing a session with you. And then ultimately, what happens to someone during that ceremony from beginning to end? Where does the transformation happen? And what kind of happens the hours or days later, post integration, or the thoughts, what kind of comes to your mind, and how it relates to maybe a specific one of these: sound, frequency, energy, vibration, how that's incorporated into what you all do. So anyone wants to go first?
I got a mic here, so I
Yeah.
guess I'm sorry. So first off, what was the first part of it? It was kind of like, what do I?
Yeah, it's a pre-integration, the actual ceremony, and the post-integration, and how to experience that.
So pretty much every day I'm either coaching somebody on the phone or on a Google Meet, to have a breakthrough in an area of their life that they may not feel that they have an ability to have a breakthrough in. So prior to that, it's really all about nurturing my body, mentally, physically, and spiritually. The mental component, I read something that's beneficial for me. Right now, I've been practicing The Greatest Salesman on Earth. It's a really good book by O.G. Mandino, I believe the author's name is. And it's a daily practice. You read and you meditate on one chapter 1 to 3 times per day, every day for a month, and there's 12 different chapters. So that's for my mind. For my soul, I take time to just, hold my hand on my belly and breathe in and just communicate loving, supportive words to myself. Sometimes I wake up and I've got weight on my soul. Sometimes I feel a little discouraged or a little uncertain about what the next step may be, or whether or not I'll be able to help the individuals that I have on my schedule for that day. But in that moment, I take the opportunity to guide my self experience with my words and with my thoughts and my feelings, versus allowing for my thoughts, my words, and my feelings to discourage or disregard the energy that is coming up for me to deal with. From a physical state, I often just take time to listen to what my body is actually asking of me to do. Sometimes that may look like just resting a little bit more. Sometimes that may look like getting up and doing some body work on my massage table. Sometimes that may look like hanging from my pull-up bar for a minute. Sometimes that may look like me jumping onto my yoga mat and doing a simple flow. Nutritionally wise, I drink that green juice. You guys should too. So it's a superfood smoothie. I put optimal nutrition in my body first thing in the morning. Often, I also just put warm water in my body first thing in the morning. That allows for my stomach to be still, putting something that's super healthy, not high in simple carbs and a bunch of other preservatives and sugars. Putting something that's really good into your body kind of sets the day's pace, right? So I do all of that prior to interacting with any of my clients. During the interaction, I listen. I start off by listening to whatever it is the client is dealing with. What they're coming to me for is to get a deeper understanding of why they are experiencing life and the way that they are experiencing it, and to discover how to break through that component of their life without having to try to do a lot of the things that we feel like we need to do in order to have the breakthroughs that we believe we need to have. So I guide people into understanding that they are whole and complete the way that they are. Regardless of whether or not you're an angry individual, regardless of whether or not you're a lazy individual, regardless if you are an anxious individual, you are a perfect individual. There's absolutely nothing or no one that is you. And when you accept that, then your soul actually begins to feel accepted. It actually begins to feel understood. It actually begins to feel considered versus feeling disregarded, versus feeling unaccepted or unloved. So I teach people through the practice to manage the experience of their soul as if it was just an innocent 2-month-old baby that you're just giving birth to and are going through the process of raising. The soul is just like that. We don't have to understand why the soul is feeling the way that it is feeling in order for us to apply the principles of love, consideration, compassion, and patience. So through the process of the sessions, I listen for what the people are dealing with, and I allow for them to see themselves in a gentle way so that they can begin the process of communicating with themselves in a way that they'll be encouraged and supported and allowed. And then once we move through that, then I guide them through some energy work, some hypnotherapy to allow for the conversation to bypass the critical mind so that the subconscious can now be that program. And I hardly ever give my clients instructions on what to do next. Because if you are already who you are, then you don't need to try to do it, right? So they just become. And after that, there's a follow-up that's usually scheduled 30 to 45 days later. There's no other integrated work that happens. It's literally just a follow-up. And on that follow-up call, it's just, this is how I've been observing the experience of my life. That's the only instruction that I give to my clients. I just say, observe the way that you are interacting with and experiencing your life, and then bring that to the conversation. And I would say 97% of the time, they are observing that their life is being experienced in alignment with what they actually came in to achieve in whatever area of their life they had a desire to work on. After the sessions, I just relax. You know, I take time to recharge. I take time to listen to myself. But most often, I actually feel like I have a lot more energy because I love what I do. I love helping people. I love teaching people. So much that at a certain point, I got so busy that I had to reconsider whether or not what I was doing was actually in alignment with what I wanted to continue to do. Because at a certain point, I got so busy that I started to lose my own capacity to interact with myself. So now I'm going through a big shift in my offerings to create more space, to create more time, so that I can be an even bigger impact to my community. You know, for instance, if I wasn't creating that space, I wouldn't be able to be here right now. I wouldn't be able to be here sharing my gifts with you. So
Would you say that anyone who comes and does one of your sessions, do a lot of them experience the hypnotism right at the beginning, or is there something maybe they should prepare for to, you know, be more ready to have that kind of deeper connection?
yeah, I always tell people just come the way that you are. However it is that you normally go about your day, just show up just like that.
Yeah.
And like I had mentioned earlier, I don't know if all of you are here for the initial practice, but you are all already hypnotized in life. None of us are walking around completely aware. And if we believe that, then that's actually taking away from the power of your ability to be aware that there is a lack of awareness that you have the ability to tap into to be more aware. So when you ask if whether or not they actually get hypnotized, my goal isn't always to hypnotize, it's to awaken them from their hypnotic state. Because we're always reacting and responding to triggers, to circumstances, to scenarios, to human beings. And we're always giving our power away saying that, oh, well, the only reason why I'm acting like this is because of that. Right? Because nobody apologized or nobody, you know, did this for me, or this circumstance didn't show up for me in the way that I needed for it to in order for me to be. So we actually take that power back within and do the work to encourage that being to be established. And then once that's there, then there's nothing that you could ever look at outside of you that could cause you to believe that who you are is not enough.
Thank you, Moses. That was very powerful. I love that. And definitely something I feel like we all kind of need to take to heart with anything we do. So, yeah.
Thank you. So first pre-integration is we have conversations beforehand. We talk about mainly some medical issues, conditions, things like that. And also psychological issues if there's been psychotic break, uh, schizophrenia, bipolar, things like that, behavioral disorders. But we do a Zoom call first, and we like a community style. A lot of sessions are usually one-on-one. However, communities are beautiful because you get to learn from each other. And everybody, there's a sense of connection, what somebody is going through. Maybe there might be a relatedness with whomever else is in that community. People tend not to listen to us sometimes. I would say, you don't just need a 5-hour fast, and they fast for 2 days. It's crazy. And when that happens, your nervous system is really on overload, and you can experience reactivations afterwards. My husband and I are trained. We had an MMA gym for 20 years. And I like to joke around that I've actually had more fistfights than my ex-husband and my husband of 26 years over there. And so because of our communities, it's very physically, some of them have become very physically dynamic. He's also a veteran Marine, and we have a lot of veterans who have PTSD, 6'8", 300 pounds, and I'm the one in there like doing some soft holds of jujitsu with them. Extremely gratifying. I don't think there's anything we could do to prepare because each session is completely different from the other. So it's when after the ceremony, the post-immigration is extremely, extremely important. Grounding, having food, having conversations, realizing that you self-generate everything. You know, that the things that, you know, some people are experiencing ancestral trauma or childhood trauma or anything like that, realizing that it's not happening right now. Yeah. Our retreats, we do coach, we do performance coaching, leadership and performance for the last 20 some years. So we incorporate that because it's really important to complete the conversations in the past and create newly, and then create structures to support not only your actions moving forward, but your being, the way who you are at the core. How do you create structures for that? So I think we're a lot different than most, you know, healers out there. And we've served a few people in this room, so they could attest to that. Thank you.
Thank you. And one more for this one, or? Okay.
So the topic of pre, during, and after, one of my favorite things is to see people realize their dream life. And with the lunar cycles, we get to enter into that dream life that they've been desiring. So maybe there's a timeline that they're wanting to step into, and they haven't really been able to fully step into that. So that's the pre of meeting with me and going on a journey with the Lunar Cycle program. It's like you're wanting to have a desired life that you haven't been able to fully step into. And, you know, we start with designing that life. What does that actually look like for you? And preparing the body in a nervous system way to be able to receive that version of you, to receive that timeline, to receive the things that you're calling in, and assessing where in your life, where in your body, do you not have the space and the room to actually welcome that life and welcome that version of you? So that's the during session, that's the during work that we do together. So it's like assessing where there is no space for you to bring in and where do you need to shift and realign so that you can bring it in. And of course, afterwards, it's just an ongoing process of maintaining that, and that you know, we can become really good manifestors of anything that we want. And it's in maintaining that gets tricky, because you know, if you just play basketball for the first time, you get the ball in, and then all of a sudden you don't know how you did that. You can't consistently do that over and over and become a master in your own life. So that's what I love doing it. people and guiding them into their highest family.
When you're speaking about the lunar cycles, is there any specific, I guess, techniques or things they should kind of, integrate with each of the moons? Or, because we have, different moons for the different seasons and they all have different meanings. I don't know, is there journaling or what do you usually do to help?
Yeah, so the lunar cycle portal is there to help you journal each day to keep you focused on where you're going and where you're at. But there are some things that I explain further as we're working together in the lunar cycle program, and I'll give you a really brief version of that. But we have 4 weeks in a lunar cycle, and we start with a new moon. So the new moon is you set your intention. So what happens by the second week, a lot of the old traumas or a lot of the old blockages and things that may have come in the way before will start to come up, and that's to be expected. So this is coming up, and then you know how to deal with it. Because it's not happening in the present moment, even though it is in your body, it's still trying to process something that previously has stopped you from moving forward. By the full moon, a lot of these things have already surfaced. You have a lot more clarity. So you're aware that you need to be elevating your energy, elevating yourself to meet that standard of where you're stepping into. And after the full moon, a lot of that old version of you tries to come through again and tries to sabotage your progress. So this is something that we are aware of, and we, welcome and explore these embodiments that show up. And by the end of that week, you're stepping into another new moon, which is a whole new layer and a whole new version of you. So it just goes on and on and on and on until you get to your core.
Thank you so much. Okay, so we'll do another question here with the conversation. We're in a little more deep than this part. So I want to talk a little bit more about the actual tools and the instruments that we all incorporate into our different modalities, and kind of see where these tools resonate with you, whether it's on a neuroscientific level or a physiological level, what actually is happening in your body. And what is it beyond that, beyond the science? How do you master these things, if at all, to be able to master them? So if anyone wants to speak on that.
I don't mind. So our ear is capable of perceiving almost 1,400 tones. Yet in America, what we're used to, standard classical instruments in our normal ranges, is about 88 keys or less. So when we indulge our senses into something like microtonal instruments, which includes your voice, right? So if all of you right now hit your lowest note, close your eyes and feel the center of that sound. Now we're going to drag the feeling up the back of your throat. Okay, so we're not controlling the sound. We're going to experience the stretch within our body to make the sound. So take a big deep breath through the belly. Almost like a car siren. Do it again. There's no staircase in your voice. Your voice is a sliding instrument that's vibrating from within you. And they recently did this study where they measured the amount of sound that comes out of your mouth compared to the sound that is in the back of your throat. Guess how much sound comes out of your body? Less than 1% of sound comes out of your mouth. 99% of it is lost within the water of your tissue, the bound water. All the fascia tissue eats the center of that vibration. So when we train a loud, resonant voice, you are in a sense invoking and awakening all that you are, particularly when we're not on the normal pedagogy, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. By sliding, by experience the stretch of our own sound, by playing with more vowels and making them in 10,000 different ways, we can enjoy our instrument without the dictating and control of a Germanic range that was placed upon tuning instruments 200 years ago. So the ear is tremendously bored. So experience all the sounds in between. Try out some Bulgarian choir music, some weird like Turkish sighs, some like awkward Chinese buchang harp music at night, and like let new sounds dance over you.
Thank you. Yeah, our vocal cords are quite the most powerful instrument we all have the capability of tapping into. So I think it's highly important to be able to tune into that and know the power that we hold with it. So I know we have a lot of other amazing musicians in here play instruments, or maybe there are tools they have. Anyone want to add?
That's exactly what.
Along with my hypnotherapy practice, I also practice sound healing. One thing that I've really found beneficial is when you are using a sound bowl or any instrument that is not that does not have a note identified to it. Take out a tuner, grab a tuner. Use your cell phone, resonate the bowl or the chime or whatever it is that you're using, and identify the note, identify the frequency that is resonating at. Most audio tuners have that technology. And when you do that, you're able to focus on and be intentional about what areas of the body you're working on. Because the bodies are made up of chakras, right? So you have the A note and the B note and the C note and the E note and the F note and the G note. You've got all of these different notes in the body that are in alignment with the chakras. So if you're being intentional about your sound healing, when you're resonating a bowl or a chime or something of that nature, when you can identify with the note of it, you can be intentional about what part of your body you're impacting.
Yeah, it's powerful. And I also play the sound bowls, and I'm very cognizant of which bowl activates specific chakras in your body. And at the end of my sessions, I let them know what energy was of the room and how that affects their overall journey. So very powerful, because some people don't know what's sitting in their body and what comes up. And it's kind of good to be aware of that, especially when you're new to music and trying these different modalities. So, and I think a lot of us use sound bowls in our practices, so, and music in general. So,
I use the water as a medium, and I came from water, as we all did. And I was lucky enough to work with Dr. Emoto back in the 80s and 90s and throughout until his death. I'm part of his water tribe, and I was a water therapist. And so what we have done with our music is we have created a space to play sounds and vibrations in the water while you're in a float position. And so I've always been a healer. Since I was young, very young, before it was accepted, before people talked about it. I was fortunate enough to be surrounded by healers as a young child. And so I've carried that throughout all my practices and all my journeys. And I feel like when I'm in the water with a person, the water takes away everything. It